A little over 22 years ago, a group of developers put a bunch of ideas on a board and blindly threw darts at it until their next project idea was formed. Before there were more Pokemon than I have remaining brain cells, HAL Laboratory was tasked with merging the least favorite mechanics next to escort missions with throwing fruit at unsuspecting Pokemon in a bid to impress Professor Oak, who recently got a degree in photography. As it turns out, an on-rails shooter where you attempt to take pictures of Pokemon was a pretty great idea. It wasn't, however, a good enough idea to bring back until now, despite the Wii U being a perfect fit for properly snapping pictures. Luckily, the Switch is basically the Wii U with a better name, so despite the original being old enough to buy alcohol for its younger siblings, new Pokemon Snap has a lot of people excited about unleashing their inner National Geographic photography skills. Not that I like to think about it, but it's been so long since the original release that there are a considerable number of younger gamers out there that never played it, even if they are a hardcore Pokemon fan. As such, I can't simply say that if you enjoyed the original, you're likely to enjoy this iteration, although that's certainly the case here. If you're new to this whole Pokemon paparazzi thing, let's go over some of the basics, even if it might be a bit painfully obvious what this is all about. As a Pokemon photographer, you arrive on an island in the Lentil region to aid Professor Mir and his assistant Rita in researching the mysterious happenings that seem to involve Illumina Pokemon. Going on nothing but some scant early findings and the tales of an explorer from an age-long past, it's your goal to help capture these Pokemon on film to aid in unraveling this great mystery of the Lentil region. To keep you safe, the professor has borrowed some old tech in the 01, the vehicle from the original game, and spit-shine that bad boy until he got the Neo one that will be escorting you around the various locations the professor has deemed hot spots for Illumina activity. The Neo 1 will teleport you in and guide you from beginning to end of each stage in an on-rails ride, not unlike the Jurassic Park tour, but with less death and dismemberment. It's up to you then to get those pictures as best you can before you reach the end of the track. You'll start out close to home, but as you continue to rack up pictures of all the Pokemon you encounter, and some various anomalies along the way, you'll slowly unlock new zones as the professor pieces together the clues. You'll be meandering through forests, jungles, deserts, reefs, ocean floors, volcanic mountains, cave systems, snowy plains, and more. Each zone, of course, comes with a mostly unique set of Pokemon to photograph, with there being somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 in total to discover. It's a simple concept, but there is a method to follow here, as you'll have to choose one picture at most of each Pokemon you caught on film to show the professor so that he may use his superior photography knowledge to critique them all and give them a score. I don't know what it is about these professors telling the photographer what is and isn't good, but we'll go along with it if we must, I suppose. Pictures can be categorized as 1, 2, 3, or 4-star snaps depending on the rarity of the pose the subject Pokemon is striking. While a 1-star is usually simply the Pokemon walking around like a small child lost into Costco, a 4-star might be finding a way to capture them using their special ability. While it isn't imperative that you get a picture of each star category for every Pokemon, that is certainly one of the goals you could work towards as you progress, since progressing through research ranks in each stage requires unique experience points, not just spamming the same pictures over and over. To accomplish this, you're given a few items which will work differently for each Pokemon, or not at all depending on the situation. The Snap Classic Apple is back, which you will wildly throw at and or around Pokemon to try to elicit a response. Don't worry though, it's really a fluff fruit, which of course is lighter than a feather, so don't worry about throwing it directly into the face of an innocent little Blossom. They'll live. You'll also unlock the ability to turn the Neo 1 into an ice cream truck via a music box that attempts to make Pokemon perk up via its melody. Your scanner, which also allows you to discover alternate routes and items of interest, can also catch the attention of certain Pokemon to get a better shot. Lastly, you'll unlock the ability to use an Illumina orb in each region, which can interact with certain plants as well as Pokemon it hits for various effects. How do you know what will work and what the results will be? Well, that's where you'll have to just employ some science of your own and spam the everlasting crap out of each item every time you see a new Pokemon until you figure it out. Yeah, you might look like you have no idea what you're doing while you frantically slam your face into every button in the Neo 1 while you slowly roll past that Pikachu for the 5th time, but nobody said science was easy. If you can convince that Machamp to do its best Hulk Hogan impersonation, it'll all be worth it in the end. Of course, Professor Muir has the final say as to whether or not your pictures are worthy of praise and research value, so really, this is all about making him happy regardless of your great artistic vision. Your pictures will be graded based on pose, size, direction, placement, other Pokemon, and background. Pose is about capturing the Pokemon actually doing something. Size is about how much of the Pokemon takes up the frame. Direction is how close the Pokemon is to looking directly into your camera and soul. Placement is about getting your subject centered and within the focus box. Other Pokemon is managing to get, other Pokemon in the shot without them overlapping your subject. And background is about getting certain environmental elements in the shot with your subject. These aren't really things you tend to think about individually when you're in the throes of taking your many pictures, but it does provide valuable feedback to help you improve for your next time out, at least most of the time. The professor does a surprisingly good job at fairly and consistently grading your snaps, but it does become evident once in a while that he might make a better scientist than a photography critic. In fairness, this is more about science than art, but even by that metric, he occasionally makes some confusing judgment calls. For those of us that also want to make use of more than just whatever Professor Muir deems worthy, new Pokemon Snap has pretty dramatically expanded your options to show off your artistic skills. From resnapping a picture to help better frame it to your liking, to adding filters, stickers, and frames to spruce it up, you really do have some great control over building up a photo album to be proud of. I do wish that all of these functions were possible in the same menu, as it is currently split between two separate locations entirely, and it would also be great to be able to use more than one filter at a time, but really, it's hard to complain and you can get some really great results. Personally, I had just as much fun, if not more so, altering my pictures as I did taking them. Making this all the more addicting is being able to upload up to 6 of your masterpieces at a time to your online profile for the world to see. Snaps you upload get randomly placed in front of other players via the Len Talk menu, which we'll talk more about later, and recommended viewing in an aptly named online internet page. What's more, if they really like it, they can award it a sweet medal to show their appreciation. It's basically Pokemon Instagram, for better or worse, and is incredibly on brand for Nintendo's general policy of keeping online functionality kid-friendly and heavily curated to suit that philosophy. Beyond just barreling through the main story, new Pokemon Snap also provides you with requests from the professor and other characters to get specific shots of Pokemon. These requests sometimes have rewards like new filters, stickers, or frames for the photo editor, but otherwise serve as more of a puzzle to solve and complete. You can also, of course, go for the ultimate goals of getting diamond level scores on 1 through 4 star snaps for each Pokemon, and filling out the entire Photodex with every Pokemon the Lental region has to offer. Legendary Pokemon are also available to discover, but you will need to figure out how to get them to appear in their various locations, of course. Those who are particularly competitive can also go for the highest Photodex score and climb the available global and regional leaderboards, as well as other leaderboards that are stage or route specific. Or you could be like me and just try to figure out what will get the most sweet medals on my best snaps. I have to say, however, that while I enjoyed my roughly 25 hours with the game, I couldn't shake the feeling that asking $79.99 Canadian was being a bit cheeky. I understand that the perceived value of any game is a very subjective thing, but it is jarring coming from Hades that sells for half that to pay just shy of $100 after tax for a 25-hour on-rails photo gallery. They could have at least splurged for fully voiced dialogue, but even that was apparently too much to ask for in a full-priced game with less than 2,000 words propping it up. It's not much of a looker either, even by Switch standards. In docked mode, there's still a substantial amount of aliasing on display, and most of the environments are devoid of much detail. Despite being entirely on rails and only a limited amount that can be seen at any given time, the frame rate is also inconsistent more often than it should be. The art style is at least up to the usual Pokemon standard, and it does a lot of lifting here, to be certain. Some of the environments are nicer than others, like stretches of the sea floor stage or the nighttime jungle route, but most aren't so lucky. And I can't say the characters are lifeless looking, but they may have a drug habit they're hiding given their soul-piercing gazes. As a package, it's not exactly an ugly game, it's just hard to not expect more given the simplicity of what's on display here. When you consider that this is an almost exact replica of the original game from 22 years ago with scant additions, it gives the impression that its development had an air of, fine, we'll make the thing, instead of having some drive behind it. I can still remember thinking about how awesome it would have been to have a Pokemon Snap game on the Wii U, specifically for the motion controls and the ability to use the controller's screen as the camera's viewfinder. Thankfully, they've more or less made that a reality with the option of using motion controls, along with the Switch's ability to operate in handheld mode. You can also opt to use the controller as is, as I did, with the Pro Controller. Rotating the camera can be painfully slow, but of course, it's a balance between camera accuracy and camera movement. Throwing the fluff fruit and Illumina orbs can also take some getting used to, especially underwater, where leading your target is more necessary, and the difficult-to-judge depth distances play a bigger part. Ultimately, it's an on-rails experience, so whichever input method you choose, it'll be fine. There's no doubt that Pokemon has proven that it's got enormous staying power, and it's seemingly hit a renaissance in the last year or so specifically. It's not surprising to see something like Snap make its way back to store shelves at this time, and it's frequently been one of the more talked about spin-off titles players have been wanting for a long while now. While it does bring modern touches to a now very old formula in its photo editing and sharing capabilities, as well as motion controls making the cut, new Pokemon Snap still feels like much the same game we played 22 years ago. That's not necessarily a knock on this latest installment, but it does make it a harder pill to swallow at full price. Players who are new to the Snap spin-offs may then find more value here than those who have experienced the series' origins, but when it comes down to it, new Pokemon Snap is a unique and often entertaining experience most Pokemon fans will enjoy. Hey everyone! Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you give the video a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when new content arrives. Want to support Critical Hit more directly? Visit our Patreon link in the description below to do just that. It helps keep us as ad-free as we can be here on YouTube and on our website. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.